Hello everyone, it's Imran here. Welcome back to another video. So I know it's been I know this one's kind of a little bit late on this one. I kind of been pushing this one back a little bit, but here it is now. I'm reacting to the third story from Tales from the Scrap Siding, Volume 3, and well, excuse me, I'm so sorry. And this one is called Fiddle Fright. So this one premiered on October 15th. It did I've pretty much what I realized is that it's actually three stories each in Tales from the Scrap Siding. There's six stories in total, so I've reacted to the first three. I'm now would have reacted to the first three at the end of this video, and I've still got another three to react. So we're just about halfway through Volume 3 of Tales from the Scrap Siding 3. So yeah, this one is called Fiddle Fright, and basically what in this story, from what I've read from the description, it's about a new feature that's been added to one of the stations on Thomas's branch line. I wonder what this fright is going to be about though. That's what I want to know. So the last story I did react to was the second story of this volume, and that was Testo New Anko. You want to check that out? I'll have that up in the top right corner of your screen. And one word to describe that story was shocking. That's literally was. I was warned in that video that one would be shocking, and well, it lived up to the name of it being called shocking right there. But yeah, this is definitely going to be something very. This one story is definitely going to be interesting. What I like from the title was that the title font kind of reminds me of the Hornby logo. It does. It does. You all know the UK model train company Hornby that did its own Thomas line from 1985 to 2018. That's basically what the title card of this video reminds me of the Hornby logo, because of how styled it is. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm about to show you now, because links to the video I'm reacting to in the description down below as always. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this. Fiddle Fright. And there you see what I mean by it, because you can see in the ticket, reminds me a lot of the Hornby logo. It does, just the way it's all styled out. So that's what I mean by it. But Fiddle Fright. Let's see what this one's all about. If that last story was anything to go by, who knows what we're in for this story right here. Fiddle Fright. Wait, is my video recording? Yes, it is.
Summer was coming to an end, but even still, tourists flocked to the island to ride the famous engines. Because of all the business, the stations began to offer more services to keep the guests happy while they waited for a train to arrive. Some opened gift shops to sell souvenirs. Others opened little cafes where passengers could buy tea and cakes. Toryrek had the most unique idea. The retired station master had set up a small model train layout in the waiting room.
Toryrek.
Children and adults alike enjoyed seeing the small trains puffing through the miniature countryside. Even the engines on the...
So at Toryrek they set up a little miniature train set they have. So that's where the idea of the Hornby star font comes from.
Branch enjoyed it.
So let me just remind that so I can listen to that again.
Children and adults had set up a small model train layout in the waiting room. Children and adults alike enjoyed seeing the small trains puffing through the miniature countryside.
The thumbnail comes
Even the engines on the branch enjoyed it, as they could sit and marvel at the model engines pulling trains just like them through the station window. Everyone loved the model railway. Well, almost everyone.
I don't get what's so special about that silly little layout,
Daisy grouched to Toby, who was resting nearby.
I mean, it's hardly anything grand
reminds me of the Series 4 episode Bullseye with the way...
highly sprung...
This reminds me of the Series 4 episode Bullseye, as it does, with just the way Toby and Daisy are just laid out to get next to each other together, just like that. That's what it reminds me of right there.
A rail car like me.
Toby just laughed.
'Cause it's fun, Daisy. You know, making model sets like that is not easy. I mean, the only television series that told our stories used models, and all those had to be made by hand.
Reference it right there.
Don't remind me of that.
Yeah, very clever reference, Toby, to the actual television series right there, where they had to make models of the trains, and it took a lot of hard work.
sets were so bland and looked so fake. Even the model people looked horrible. The only thing that looked good were the smelly trucks and coaches, while all our models looked dreadful. My model looks especially silly. I mean, I look terrible with Boko's wheels under me. Hardly highly sprung if I'm rolling along a layout looking like some filthy common goods diesel. And my goodness, the amount of makeup on my model's face had me look like some dolled-up damsel, as if you couldn't tell
Makeup
I'm a
looks
lady
good
in the
on you,
first
Daisy.
place.
Toby didn't say anything. He just grinned at Daisy.
Now, if they wanted to do this island justice, they'd have filmed the television show right here, and we could just recreate the stories written about us. It's called acting, after all, and not to
I don't think
toot
it would
my own
work.
horn,
It would
I'm
not work
one
at all.
of the best.
Oh, is that so, Daisy? Then I suppose if you were to recreate Bullseye's, you'd just be pretending to be scared of Champion?
Daisy huffed and flounced away.
That's a good point right there, Toby.
Later, she was resting on the siding when Thomas came up. He didn't pay Daisy much mind as he began to look at the model railway through the window, watching for a small tank engine pulling some coaches on it.
Oh dear, am I the only sane engine left on this railway?
What's wrong now, Daisy? Did someone ask what a coach is doing moving with no engine? Or did a little dust get on you?
Oh,
I don't get what you like about that silly little layout, Thomas. It's just a children's toy, after all. We engines have more important things to worry about than watching toys move around on some fake setting. And honestly, what's the point of putting all the effort into something like that? I know people need hobbies, but playing with toys, even when they're full-grown adults, is just ridiculous.
it's not
The
ridiculous.
Reverend had his own model layouts. Did you think he was silly?
Oh, well, that's different. He was a reverend, so he hardly had much work to do anyway most of the week, except on Sundays.
The old station master was just walking up the platform with some model railway boxes under his arm and had heard everything.
I think I know why you're upset, Daisy. It's because there isn't a rail car like you in my layout. Perhaps I should see if the shop has some in stock.
Oh, that could be the...
I think that's a splendid idea, sir.
Yeah.
I should have known. Oh, that was the reason Daisy was in a mood.
Yeah.
Before Daisy could snap a response, Thomas's guard blew his whistle and he puffed away.
Me on a model railway? As if I would entertain the idea.
I think that will come back to bite you, Daisy.
That evening, the temperature dropped and a thick wave of mist rolled in. Thomas and Percy were called away to help at Knapford Harbor to clear up a backlog of trucks caused by the weather, and Toby was working up at the quarry with Mavis. This left Daisy to handle the evening runs. She worked hard, but it was late when she was able to return to the sheds at Torrywreck. Her driver parked her inside and left. Daisy looked over at the station. Through the mist, she could barely see the layout. A small model train pulling lighted coaches passed by the window and then disappeared out of sight.
Fair enough.
Ridiculous rubbish.
Soon she closed her eyes and drifted to sleep, unhappily so as the mist chilled her frames. Then Daisy suddenly felt herself moving. She woke with a start and suddenly realized she had no driver in her cab. She crept out of the shed and onto the main branch line.
What's going
Oh,
on?
goodness! Someone help!
But the station was dark, not a soul to be seen. Daisy felt herself suddenly gather speed. She rounded a
This is
corner
like the last
and
story all
disappeared
over
down
again.
a long, dark tunnel where one hadn't been before. Down into the darkness she plunged, speeding along at the same steady pace as if she were running normally. The tunnel seemed to go on for miles before ending. Daisy barreled out into the open and down a misty country track. She looked around,
What is that?
peering through the fog. Nothing felt familiar. Nothing even looked familiar. She rounded a bend and saw a massive cliff to her right. It was so deep and vast she couldn't see the bottom. It was like looking down a deep, dark mine shaft.
Goodness
Oh
me!
my goodness.
Where am I?
Up ahead, Daisy saw a small crossing with the gates already open. A car was stopped at them. This would have been comforting to the frightened rail car, if not for the fact that the road itself crossed the rails and disappeared over the cliff face. It was a road that went nowhere, and yet a car was stopped at the gates as if waiting for the train to pass so the driver could continue his travels. She rattled through the crossing and raced on.
Oh, that is
Up
weird
ahead,
right there.
a station could be seen, and people could be seen standing on the platform. Daisy felt greatly relieved.
Thank goodness! Help me! Someone stop! Stop!
The words died on her lips as she rolled closer.
What is it?
The station was filled with what had looked like people, but up close, Daisy saw they weren't. They looked like mannequins, fake people clothing stores put up in their front windows. However, they looked nothing like people. Hastily smeared paint glistened on their bodies, and all were posed as if they were waiting for a train. What sent shivers down Daisy's roof, however,
She's stuck in a model
were the faces
railway.
of the passengers. Or rather, the lack of a face.
Look
All the
at
passengers
that.
were faceless, devoid of anything such as eyes or mouths, smooth and
God.
flat like an egg.
Horrors!
Cried Daisy, and she raced out of the station.
She's
Past
trapped
the
in a model
station,
railway.
Daisy rolled into a goods yard. In the foggy distance, she saw lights coming around the bend. They flashed in the night, lights coming from the coach windows. As she drew nearer, Daisy could make out the color of the engine approaching her. It was a small blue tank engine, and she knew only one blue tank engine who pulled coaches.
Thomas! Please help!
That's not Thomas.
The engine was blue and pulling coaches, but it wasn't Thomas. It was faceless and silent as it rolled along. The coach compartments alight, but with no one on board. It rushed past Daisy and was gone into the night. It was then Daisy felt a wave of confusion hit her. She'd passed by steam engines before, but this steam engine had not sounded right. No chuffing, no puffing,
She's
not
trapped in a
even
model
whistle
railway.
or any of that awful clanking sound steam engines made. It had been silent, save for the clattering of its wheels on the tracks.
I must be going mad! I must be!
She raced onwards until she rounded a bend and dove into another dark tunnel. She'd only just entered when she felt her wheels roll over something.
Points? Were those points?
It was unmistakable. Those were points. Daisy had just realized this and was about to wonder what points were doing inside a tunnel of all places, when suddenly she rolled over another set of points and violently swerved to the right. She screamed in terror, fearing she was going to hit the edge of the tunnel wall. Only there was none. Daisy rolled into an unfamiliar area. All
What are
around
those
her,
claws?
everything was flat. She could
What are
finally
those
see the
claws?
tracks running along.
Beside that, what are those big pointy triangle things? I don't know what this is going, but Daisy's trapped in a model railway. Is having a nightmare that she's just trapped in a model railway, if we're talking about
Beside
it.
her, as well as some coaches and trucks sitting around. She also noticed that something had happened to the tracks below her. The sleepers were resting on nothing but smooth ground, but it wasn't like the concrete floors at the works, but something else. Soon, a pair of buffers appeared out of the gloom. Daisy closed her eyes tight, feeling that she was going to keep rolling until she crashed. But then, suddenly, and slowly, Daisy felt her wheels slow down. She rolled along before coming to a stop at the buffers.
Finally! Stopped at last!
What is all that?
But the
though?
relief didn't last long.
Look at those
Before she could
claws.
catch her breath, a harsh light shined down upon her. Daisy blinked in surprise, completely caught off guard. Then, from the light, came two massive hands. They slowly descended down towards her, fingers spread open to grab her. Daisy had enough. She closed her eyes and screamed the moment the giant's fingers grabbed onto her side.
No! Someone! Anyone!
Oh my
help
goodness!
me!
She's a model!
Daisy? Daisy, wake up!
Daisy shot awake with a start. She looked around. It was morning.
She's back to normal.
She was back in her shed. Her driver was stood in front of her, and she could feel the cleaners on her side cleaning her windows. She sighed with relief.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh.
Is
Just a
something the
nightmare.
matter, Daisy? Sounded like you had a nightmare or something.
Maybe.
Her driver
Maybe.
just nodded and gave her
100%.
buffer a pat.
Well, it's all over now. A good smooth passenger run will do you good. Oh, but we do need to take the milk today.
Daisy shuddered. She wasn't as opposed to the job as she used to be, but she secretly wished she didn't have to. After the cleaners had left, Daisy's driver brought her to the platform and quickly went to get the morning paper. As she was waiting, the old station master came up from the car park. In his hands he held a model train box. He smiled.
Oh no.
Look,
Not a good
Daisy,
idea
I
to
just
show
got
it.
this from the model shop.
Don't good
He
idea
held
to
up
show
the
Daisy
box,
this.
and Daisy gulped. It was a model rail car that looked similar to her.
I think it'll look wonderful on the layout, don't you?
Oh, very nice, dear.
Daisy said hastily as her driver boarded her cab,
Now I must be going. The milk won't collect itself.
and she rumbled away. Daisy doesn't find the layout in the station silly anymore. In
Oh,
fact, she
goodness.
hardly talks about it. The branch line engines aren't sure what made her change her tone. But
We know.
know, don't we?
Yep. She had a nightmare. Is that it? I knew, even though it wasn't directly mentioned in this video, I think we all knew that Daisy had a nightmare, that she was trapped in a model railway. She literally was in a model railway, a model Hornby railway. She was. Oh, so that explains everything. It explains why the title was in was a Hornby font. It was. Explains why it was in a Hornby font right there. It's funny how I liked the idea of given the fact the TVS this model series used obviously models it did, that Daisy had a nightmare of being a model engine trapped in a model toy railway. Excuse me again, I don't know why I'm burping a lot, but wow. I had a feeling we do something Hornby related, but I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. That must be frightening when you don't know what's going on and you're just trapped. Oh my god! And those two big hands right there were frightening, absolutely frightening. They were to see she was about to be grabbed and just picked up, because that's what happens in a model railway when you stop an engine and you want to pick it up right there. So that's why Daisy changed her tune on model railways, because she had a nightmare that she was of her own, that she was trapped in one. So I do feel bad for Daisy, even though she was kind of nagging in the beginning. It's never nice to have a nightmare as horrific as hers right there. But at least it was at least it was only a dream, Daisy. At least it was only a dream. But holy cow, that was unexpected right there. But yeah, I was wanting to react to this story for at least a week now. Glad I got around to react to it, and boy, did not disappoint. I like the idea how we took the model concept about the engines being models in real life to giving it a horrific twist, giving also a Hornby train set a horrific twist as well. So yeah, 22 tells her it's really coming up with some good idea. Has come up with some good ideas so far, and we're only halfway through volume 3. We are. Can't wait to see the next three stories, and the next one, 10 to Kildane. I have a feeling it's related to the Kildane experiment story he did last year, so can't wait to react to that one. But if you do want to check any of my previous what was I going to say? Any of my my previous Thomas reactions whenever it's an audio story like this or a Trains adaptation, then I'll have a playlist up in the top right corner of your screen right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button for me. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the story I reacted to. I can't believe I got my prediction right. It was something Hornby or model related right there. Got my prediction right there. Also, let me know in the comments down below what other videos you want me to react to next. Follow me on Instagram. A link to that will be in the description down below. Share this video. Subscribe if you're new here. Ring that bell to get notified when I upload new videos or when I post on the community tab. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!